Trying to figure out where to put these. I need a shelf.
Oh, it's right there.
Can I do
Deanna's,
that?
Deanna's not here. Deanna's not here.
Sure,
Mr. Speaker, we're live on YouTube.
Okay,
thank you.
And
You
all.
can do the same thing.
all right, so let's see. 7:02 PM. Oh, are you recording? Okay.
Is this what, this isn't anything extra, is it? Huh?
What?
This isn't the one that was just put on the table. That's not anything extra.
I think they were printed out for the people that didn't have a copy.
Oh, okay. And I,
So it is extra.
we all do, yeah.
All right, unfortunately,
Yes.
I printed mine out before it came in the mail today.
Mr. Chair, it is a recording and we're live on YouTube.
Okay, great. It's 7:03 PM. Today is the 18th of December, 2023. Calling the meeting of the Transportation and Circulation Commission, City of Lafayette to order. Visually, I can see that, well, we'll just do a roll call. All the commissioners are here except for Vianney Serriere. So Lynn, you want to call out your name?
Oh, Lenny Day, present.
I'm Carl DiGiorgio.
I'm Bart Carr. Greg Brown.
Bella Weatherspoon.
And then we also have staff and guests in the room. So we have a quorum. I just remind everybody online that this is a hybrid meeting that is hybrid to the extent that if there's technical problems, we're sorry, but we'll do the best we can. Otherwise, people in the audience here in the room have priority. Okay, is there anything on the agenda that anybody would like to change, modify, move?
I would like to request that we pull item 6B and defer discussion until January 16 transfer, which is after city council will discuss the project on January 9th or 8th, sorry.
You said January 16th or 22?
16th for us, I think, is our meeting.
Okay. So, there's a motion. Would someone like to second it and we have discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay, so the discussion on this, there's been, for people who wouldn't know this in the audience, or some of the transportation commissioners might have seen some correspondence regarding this item. It was the intent to have this item returned to us after the item had been discussed at the city council meeting. And jump in, Stella, if I say anything that isn't quite right. It's been my understanding that this item was not brought back to the city council for discussion. One way we could do this is we could turn down this proposal and then we could at the regular time talk about it. Which would allow for full discussion, but
Could I ask you,
yeah.
what is it?
Item 6B, the updates to the transportation grant project. At the meeting, I happened to go back and look at the action agenda from the meeting on what was it? December, I lost the date here. Excuse me, everybody. September 18th. At that meeting, we requested that we'd see this item again once it was discussed at a city council meeting in October, and then staff could answer questions about the feasibility of alternate project alignments. Now, maybe I should stop talking and we let Patrick pine in on whether we should pull this all together or whether it's the use to discuss that as a regular agenda item.
So it did go to council in October.
Mhm.
At that meeting.
Do you have a microphone?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a microphone? Can you use it?
I don't have a microphone, no.
Oh, we always used to have a microphone.
I can hear him. Can you not hear him?
I hope so. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll
I-
try to
you're-
speak louder.
You're clear to me, so.
Okay, so on October tenth, Matt Luttrop went to city council to respond to questions that council had asked about different questions about the viability of potentially alternate alignments. At that meeting, he had mentioned that CCTA has in the La Miranda Action Plan identified a corridor management study for Pleasant Hill Road, as well as all the other routes of regional significance in La Miranda. And council asked him to return after having spoken to CCTA to find out if it's on their work plan. So that's what they asked him to come back and report to. Unfortunately, because of the housing element, that item kept getting pushed and it's now on the January 8th agenda.
And what are you calling it?
It's the Pleasant Hill Road Pathway Project.
Okay, that's all that you're entertaining
Can I-
on the 8th?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can I add something?
Please do.
So I concur with what Patrick said, but I'll add that October tenth, council did ask staff or direct staff to speak with CCTA regarding their timeline for a corridor study that's in the La Miranda Action Plan. But it did that in deferred discussion of 6 studies of the East Side pathway alternative that Matt had brought to them in prior meetings. And so they did not say they were not going to look at those 6 options for studying an East Side path. They just said, we'll put that aside and we'll talk to CCTA first.
Okay,
So that's my position, that now Matt will go back to council on January 8th and present what CCTA's response was, and also resume the conversation about these 6 studies to look at different parts of an East Side pathway alternative.
yeah.
And so that's just where I feel that we should sequence ourselves after that discussion. If council decides to move forward on something that's not described currently in this staff report,
Yeah,
then why should we opine now?
yeah, I,
Bart, you have a question?
I have a question for Patrick. Is there some an expedience required? Is there a need for us to act
Council
on
has
this?
asked me to bring this to them at the second January meeting, the list of potential projects. So Stella's timeline could work. My kind of general feedback is that the descriptions that I've written for the projects are not design specific. They are just general.
Yeah.
This is a project that could be a priority for potential grant funding. So as an example, I have in there the St. Mary's drop off. That's part of the connecting Lafayette project, right? The new pickup and drop off area that's being designed for Stanley Middle School. At this point, we are in the very beginning stages of design, and yet that project is still on the list. And so this list isn't dependent on the design. It's 2 separate issues. One is that these are projects that are being worked on
Mhm,
that may or may not be prioritized by council.
mhm.
But if it is prioritized by council, then we would still go through the same design processes.
Okay, well, I'm
I-
still
Thank you so much.
Could I?
Okay,
welcome.
yeah,
Um,
At the very least, I think it should be clear to the public. Which means that it has to be more clear to the public than it should be to us. But in both cases, I believe it needs to be very clear, the material in the documents. I personally do not favor that central bike lane,
okay,
multiple, but,
Yeah.
and I will never vote for it, never.
okay. So I want to get back.
But we
to-
need to be clear, and we're not
Okay.
clear here.
Okay, hold on one second. So, to the public that have been attending, we're sorry that was on mute. We're currently, on the adoption of the agenda item 4. There was a motion that was seconded, whether or not we should remove item 6B. That's the transportation grant item, whether we should remove that from the agenda and not talk about it. So while we were on mute, we were talking about whether or not we should remove this item. So I'm just gonna ask one more time, so I make sure I'm clear. If we remove this item tonight, you'll be able to provide the city council with a list of all the other items. And then conceivably, we could come back at a future meeting and ask for that to be added to the list. Is that
Correct.
okay?
Are you talking about?
Item 6B.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but does that include the TDA grant that we were talking about at the one that you particularly have your eye on?
Yeah.
That we've had for since 2019? Is that included in that item? Because I want to pass
No.
that tonight.
No, the Pleasant Hill Road path is only item 6B.
Yeah,
The TDA grant is item 7A.
okay.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna touch that one.
So this
Okay.
was the item from a previous meeting that we had asked to have brought back.
Yeah,
So the
okay.
question is it ready to be discussed or should we defer it?
Is it clear to the public? Exactly what it is?
Okay,
So,
Greg?
so right now, we're just addressing the question of whether it should be on the agenda or not.
Yeah.
It seems to me like there's a lot of different thoughts and opinions on this. So I think my personal opinion is we should just address it in the substantive part of the meeting and leave it on the agenda for now.
okay. You have an opinion, Bart?
I agree with Greg.
Or would you? Do you have an-
What, say?
do you have an opinion? The motion was to remove it from the agenda. Do you want to remove it from the agenda or keep it on the
Do
agenda?
we have more time? How much time more do we have
We have all time.
for seeking that grant?
Well, it's a potential, it's a list of potential.
Yeah,
This is not,
This has nothing to do with funding that we're looking, I mean,
nothing right
there's
now.
nothing current.
Then I would leave it up for a while. Because I don't feel it's clear.
okay.
I think we'll get clarity
Yeah.
at the council meeting.
Yeah.
I think maybe council's maybe not aware of this item here, perhaps.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So the question though is, should we talk through it later or should we just remove it and defer it?
I would defer it myself.
Let's, I'm in favor of just deferring it. If we can add it back later with no problem, then I don't see why we have to go through it tonight. If we're gonna get additional information that we want to discuss anyway. And that's kind of what I was thinking, so. Anyway, so any other discussion? So the proposal was to remove item 6B from tonight's agenda.
Is this free? Can I put it over here?
Yeah. So let's, the vote. Let's have a vote. Should this item be removed? Yes is remove and nay is to keep it. So, we'll start with you since you proposed it.
yay.
Okay, so you remove and Bart, Greg?
Nay, I prefer to do that.
Nah.
Nay.
No,
Okay, so it does not pass. We'll keep it and talk about it on the agenda, right? Okay, I know it's backwards. It's hard to think.
Oh.
Okay. And, yeah,
Never mind. I thought you'd said you were in favor of deferring it.
yeah.
You'd spoken that,
Oh,
but that's fine.
I am in favor of deferring it, but I also think there's another way around it, so. but, okay, have I misinterpreted everybody's votes? Is that,
Did you get Lynn's? I don't
My vote?
recall.
you wanted
I want to remove it
to remove it?
temporarily.
I don't want to remove it.
You don't want to remove it, and you don't want to remove it? And I didn't want to remove it to talk about it, and you did want to remove it,
Mhm.
and so,
I just don't think it's
So it's-
very clear.
so it's 2-3. So it's still on the agenda then, right? Or, okay,
Yes.
okay, so I wasn't super clear, sorry, but I think we can talk through it and get a good thing, and we can remove it during the meeting if we need to. Yeah. All right, so the agenda,
Motion to adopt the agenda. as
Okay.
written.
and second,
I second.
all those in favor say aye.
I,
And, okay, that's fine. So sorry for, people online, that was a little convoluted. Usually, removing an item off of an agenda is yes or no, pretty quick. So, all right, since we're now on item 5, which is public comments for anything that's not on the agenda. Now, we have a person in the room, you know, do you care to speak about something that's not on the agenda?
I've got two things to say. One is and one isn't, so.
Well, you already put a slip in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're welcome to say something that's about something that's not on the agenda.
Fine.
And
All I will say is, thank you, Patrick, and others, that I'm from the Aqua, Ramsey Thomas.
yes,
I'm not representing the Aqualanes Avenue community, but I'm a member and we talk regularly.
yeah,
And we're very pleased that there's been a recommendation to work on Aqualanes Avenue to slow things down. That's great.
Yeah.
And there's another thing I'd like to say, but I'll wait.
good. Any questions for the speaker? Okay, is there anybody online that wanted to speak about something that's not on the agenda?
I see 3 hands raised. The first speaker is Brad Rosenthal,
Okay.
followed by Jennifer Paul.
Okay. And just to remind people online, if you've clicked by accident, just unclick it. If you don't want to, but otherwise, let's start with the first speaker.
Actually, that he's lowered his hand. Let's see. The first speaker is Cheryl.
Okay,
Who?
Cheryl.
McDonald?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. The first speaker is Jennifer Paul.
Okay,
Jennifer, please unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. I actually was trying to raise my hand for item number 4, but you bypassed public comment. I was just speaking in favor of removing the item. That was all. Yeah. Were you able to hear me?
Jennifer, please
Yeah,
unmute.
I am unmuted. I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? Shoot. Are you able to hear me? I'm unmuted.
Sorry, Jennifer, we're having trouble here.
Hello?
Jennifer's connecting to audio. Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Jennifer, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Sugar. Sorry about that.
can you make sure that these on the this is through Zoom, right? Make sure that the volume for the owl or is also
is it working yet?
turned up.
Sugar.
Is she
Is it-
speaking and can't
is it-
hear?
Is it
Push the
working yet?
plus button.
Yeah, you could.
Okay. I've tried. Sorry about that.
There,
Can you hear me okay?
just a
Can you
minute.
hear me now? Oh, sure.
You need to mute your computer.
Don't have a computer on. This is crazy. Oh, well, thank you. Oh, well,
I can hear her fine. I don't get it.
yeah. I'm speaking right into the phone.
I can hear you.
Is muted.
Can you hear us?
Maybe
I can
Why
hear
are
you.
you
I
wrong?
don't have a
No.
computer. Yes? Can you hear me? It's
Try
okay.
again.
I'll try dialing in. It's okay.
All right,
Oh, well.
one second, everybody. Hold
Am
on.
I in the room?
Is it working yet? I can try with headphones. So weird. Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead. You had a question?
Jennifer, sorry for
Yep.
this. Are you still there?
I am. Can you hear me
Okay,
yet?
yes, we're having
Okay.
problems. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna stop talking and then we're gonna allow you to talk.
Okay. Hi, I was just calling in about item number 4 that there was no public comment for item on the agenda. I was just concurring that I would also like to have it removed from the agenda. Thank you.
Yes, and I saw your email earlier.
The next speaker is Cheryl.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hi, Cheryl, go ahead.
Okay, I wasn't sure. So I came in a little bit late. I'm kind of confused about how things got started with, are we trying to decide whether items can be removed from the agenda at this point? Was that part of the discussion that was being voted on about items on the agenda that could be removed? Was that part of the discussion? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
You had a discussion about removing an item from the agenda, and I was wondering if that was a
okay.
part of the,
All right, Cheryl.
yeah.
We're gonna have to stop taking questions and
Does that mean you can't hear me? Hello?
so the suggestion has been, do we need to put a notice on the web, on the meeting board that we're having technical problems with the audio? And for the people online, there's an echo.
I'm gonna go down. I guess I need to go down.
I think, well, if we can do that, that would be great. Other than that,
Yeah.
I mean, we just can't do it.
Well,
So,
Well, the rules that we're running under are is if the Zoom meeting part doesn't work, we still continue the meeting.
right, well, that's what I'm
Right,
saying.
right. So why don't we put up a note? Are you able to put up a notice on the Zoom screen? Something about there's technical issues and we can't take questions? Is that a lot? Yeah, is that?
There's technical issues
Or would-
and Zoom and use of Zoom will be discontinued.
Is there anything in the policy that we have to give people some time to come down if they wish to speak?
Well, you might say that if you wish to participate or make comment, then you're welcome to come and join us.
They're on very tight schedule.
Yeah, well-
If this has to be in, all this stuff has to be in by the 20 something,
Well,
that's a very tight schedule.
Okay.
I think we better proceed.
yeah, well,
The 20 something? What is the 20-something?
I said, well, I think we better proceed, and I did suggest to a lot of the persons who would normally be visiting that they had come down in person and speak in person. And I encourage that strongly.
Well,
We
maybe
can't drag people down here.
No, well, maybe we can see if we can bring it back. Is it hopeless? I mean, is
I
it?
don't know, I'm gonna,
It's nothing that's obvious.
Yeah.
And we try.
Is it, I'm
Let me-
wondering something where we can,
I use it at work also, so just to see
where we could
what you're doing.
type, communicate to the people on Zoom and then
yeah, I can share my
we
screen.
don't say
Got
anything,
it,
let
yeah.
them talk.
Well, you have to say something. I mean, you know,
Say,
Carl,
if you type it up there and say, hello, Cheryl, will you please go ahead?
So I,
And they can see the
and I've
screen.
got a note here saying,
Yeah.
we're working on it.
Okay,
Under the arrow, little arrow that comes down. It says select a microphone, so that's correct. Select a speaker, that's correct, okay, okay, and then. When you hit the mute button.
Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm sorry to everybody. I hope everybody in the audience can still hear us. We're sorry that there's technical problems. That under the agenda item 3, which I kind of breezed through. If there's technical problems, the plan is to keep going, and we're gonna do that. You're welcome to come down. I know it's late, you probably won't be able to get here. I don't think that anything here. Well, let me say it differently. Go ahead.
well, just Chair, can I just ask again, is it possible for us to communicate outward to the participants by just typing on the shared screen to say, for example, Cheryl, go ahead? And then we don't say a thing,
Oh.
we let her speak.
But I think that they can hear us.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's that
We
we're
can-
hearing,
we're hearing echo feedback.
It's from the YouTube live streaming and I can't see
Oh,
how to.
right. Yeah, I
do
get it.
anything different than what we
Yeah,
have to
okay.
say.
So, I want to point out that what I see on the screen is not your note, Patrick.
Yes, right. It was showing on Zoom. Can you move the Zoom?
Okay,
Wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better to put the agenda on there?
agendas, everybody's got the agenda online.
Ah, your hair is too.
Okay. All right,
I'm gonna sign into Zoom on my phone to see what we're.
okay. All right, people online, please bear with us. We'll see if we'll get one more shot of seeing we can accommodate everything.
how many participants do we have on Zoom?
Should we have 7?
Okay, I'm.
Recording in progress.
All right. Um,
You want me to share my screen? It says we're having technical difficulty and. That is what I'm seeing on the
Okay.
Zoom screen.
okay, good.
Oh, there we go.
All right, good. All right, so I'm gonna, let's go back and, I don't say start the meeting over, but are the commissioners ready to proceed? in the inside for now.
Please.
Okay. So I want to recap and answer, we had people public dial in and mention about, they were confused about what we did in the adoption of the agenda item. We went through a bunch of discussion, and I'm sorry for that. There was someone said that we didn't open that up for public discussion. And honestly, I don't know if we normally would do that if we change agenda anyway. So the way it stands now is we're going to go through all of the items on the agenda, including item 6B. And we're going to just proceed with the normal meeting. We can't take Zoom comments. If you can get here, you're welcome to come, but I'm sorry, it's not working out today. So,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
I had a thought before we came down, and many groups in Lafayette, commissions, city councils, and so on, have made agreements amongst themselves not to extend meetings past 11 o'clock. And I strongly urge us not to extend hours beyond 11 o'clock either. I would like a vote if that's possible, but maybe we can't vote on something that's not agenda.
I'm not anticipating staying here tonight past that time. So, but I think that's worth discussing, and I'll bring it up with staff and see if we need to bring that as an agenda item. But you can also vote against it also.
What?
You can also vote against it also. But okay, let's get going with items. Okay. Sorry for not having good communication on items not on the agenda. Item 6B. Let's talk. This is the item we were discussing informally earlier. So let's.
Do we want to do 6A first?
I'm sorry, 6A. All right. My apologies to everybody. So item 6A, selection of chair and vice chair for 2024. You want to describe the process, Patrick?
I've only been here for one, and
Okay.
and so the last year, someone nominated you,
Yeah.
Carl,
Yeah.
and took a vote.
Mhm.
Someone nominated Greg and took a vote, and I'm assuming that Bart.
Yes.
Vice chair.
Yeah.
Sorry, apologies. And I'm assuming that that's the same process.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. The point is it's an annual process. Thank you. So we haven't discussed this amongst ourselves. I'm currently the chair. I would prefer to not be the chair next time. I'm open to being a vice chair, but let's have everybody's opinion. I know Stella, you're actively involved with GPAC. Are you going to be the chair this next time?
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
whenever they reconvene.
Yes, I read that January was being canceled, so, okay. And so do you have should we just go through and do you have any interest in being a vice chair? Or not? I mean, it could be no, that's fine.
Yeah, I think I'd be overcommitted.
Okay. And Greg, do you have any interest in being a vice chair again?
No, I believe Bart is currently the vice chair, right?
Right,
Yeah.
no, I mean for 2024.
No.
Okay. And then do you have any interest in being a vice chair in 2024?
Zero.
Okay, then therefore, I'm happy to entertain a motion and are you willing to be the chair for this 2024?
I'm willing to be the chair.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion for Bart to be the chair and I'd be the vice chair.
Second.
I so moved.
No, somebody shouldn't. So
Who's gonna be the vice chair?
I'm open to it. So
You're open, and how about, what do you want to do?
I want to make the motion that Bart be chair for 2024 and Carl be vice chair for 2024.
Carl, you don't want to be vice chair?
correct, that's what he said.
Okay, if
Yeah,
he
no.
doesn't want to do that.
I can't do
Is
both.
there a?
What?
I can't do both.
No, you can't do both, but I thought that Greg was very interested in staying vice chair.
So, no, so there's a motion. I haven't heard a second.
Second,
Okay, So there's a motion for Bart to be chair and me to be vice chair. Should we do a roll call vote? Go ahead.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, I.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so the motion passes and I'll back you up and I'll do anytime you want.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And that'd be for starting January.
Right.
So,
Right.
okay. All right. Finally, item 6B. Okay. So, why don't we proceed in a normal manner? We've had some discussion, but people online didn't hear, might have heard it, and it was a little chaotic. So let's go through the normal process where you can describe what this is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just to back up, on September 18th, we had a discussion here at the commission to discuss a draft staff report that was attached as or included as an attachment that provided a list of potential projects, transportation projects that could be eligible for future grant funding. There were 9 projects on that list, including the Pleasant Hill Road Pathway Project. At that meeting on September 18th, the discussion focused on whether or not that the project description was too specific and may not reflect subsequent direction that council would be giving staff on the project. And so the request at that time from the commission was to bring the topic or the project description back after council provided staff with more direction. Staff went back to council in October, did receive some direction, but was requested to come back to council with a response to a question about CCTA leading a corridor management plan for Pleasant Hill Road that may provide some guidance for this project or potential alignment for the project. And so the staff report that I've written for item 6B attempts to revise the project description to reflect kind of the unknowns about the project, yet attempts to keep it on the project list, similar to the other projects that are on the list that don't necessarily have design certainty. And so that's where at least I am tonight.
Okay.
Which project? You didn't say which project, you said
Pleasant Hill
the
Road Pathway
project.
Project.
What?
Pleasant Hill Road Pathway Project.
You're talking about the center lane.
Well,
Yes.
no, if you read the revised
I read it.
project description, just mentions that the project, the alignment is unknown for the project.
But there, you have 2 options right now. You have the east side and you have the center.
Right, and what I'm saying is that the alignment is unknown, it won't be known for some time. And so the way that I've written the project description is to keep it on a list of potential projects, transportation projects that may be eligible in the future for grant funding, but there's still design uncertainty as there is with many of the projects on the list.
But it does acknowledge that planning, engineering for the center line pathway will continue.
Correct.
Which
That
is
is
being
factual,
funded
because
by
that is the direction that staff received from council.
Right.
So my position is that this still, to me, reads very much as the center median with the addendum that you added, which does present that there are exploration of options. And so I think the parts of the text that say that to me are in the first sentence where it says the intent is to eliminate conflicts between head bike and the multiple on-off ramps. So in one design center, that is true. In east, probably not, because the sidewalk right now on the east, technically there are conflicts in the sense that there are crosswalks. So I see that particular phrase, eliminate conflicts between, as very much speaking about the center. And I think also, as I mentioned earlier, but maybe the audience on Zoom didn't hear that what's missing at the end of this description after the CCTA corridor management plan is that council, I believe on January 8th, will also be discussing a menu of 6 studies that they had requested staff to provide to them that would be studies of different components of an alternative east side pathway alignment. And so,
Who wants to be provided?
I'm sorry, I
The
was turning
CCTA?
away. Sorry. Yeah, so council initially asked about asked staff for options of how to study the feasibility of an east side pathway. And they started that process back in May, I think. So they started that process in May, and they've had multiple meetings, and each time they've looked at a different angle. So one was talk to Akalani's staff and find out about kids and how many bike to school. I'm forgetting now.
Caltrans.
Oh, yeah, the big one was talk to Caltrans and what do they require if you're going to make any modifications to their off ramps or put up signals or stop signs, et cetera. And so staff did that and returned, but then the last meeting in October, I think it was, council said, well, what about CCTA and a corridor management plan? Could that possibly incorporate some of this studying of the east side? And so right now the plan is in January, staff will come back and speak to that question, but council did not brush aside the 6 study options on this menu. They just said, we're not going to talk about that right now until we get our CCTA information. So as I understand it, January 8th, they will hear what CCTA said, and they will hear again their menu of 6 options, and I assume they'll discuss it. But I can't say.
Okay, thank you.
So, do you have comments or questions?
Well, I do. I guess, I don't disagree that you know, we shouldn't get overly specific at this point because it's it's been here a few times. We took an action that the city council chose not to endorse. But I guess from a process standpoint, I think it's important to get the kind of list of potential projects out there. My preference would be to do it, you know, as one, so the city council has it. I would certainly be willing to entertain, you know, modifying this to make it much more agnostic to any project. But clearly, the Pleasant Hill pathway in some form is going to be, you know, a prime candidate for, you know, future grants. And if, you know, we can put language in there about, you know, at the direction of council or, you know, whichever way they ultimately end up going, if they, you know, take a affirmative, you know, action in January or not. But I think getting this, you know, from a process matter, getting this to them in a packet, you know, at their, you know, direction, Patrick, would be my preference.
Do you have any, Bart, do you have any questions or comments or thoughts?
I guess so just the alternative active transportation alignments doesn't cover in a very general way what you're calling out, Stella.
Well, just because it describes it as happening within the context of a CCTA corridor management plan. And if a CCTA corridor management plan turns out to not be happening and council hears that in January, then they may choose to look at funding one of those 6 or 3 of the, any number of those 6 studies that are on this menu that staff presented to them quite a while ago. I think, was it May, maybe June? I think it was June.
I believe it was also included in the October staff report as well.
Yeah, it was, except that's when they
Yeah.
said, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about CCTA and come back to that. So that's why I think adding a sentence at the end perhaps, right after the CCTA corridor management sentence that just says also council will consider conducting separate studies of alternative or alternatives to the center median design.
Yeah, that would make sense to me.
Just a
I'm in favor of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm in favor of your proposed change, change, eliminate, and minimize, or, again, just make it as agnostic as possible,
Yeah.
that there's some project that's gonna be out there, whatever city council decides the direction they wanna go.
Agreed. Yeah, for that first sentence, I thought, yeah, changing eliminate conflicts between to minimize conflicts between or improve safety of. And then there's one other thought I have, but I want to give Patrick a second to take his notes.
So, I'm assuming, Patrick, that you're typing that down, so.
I'm trying to, yeah.
And I'm okay with waiting for a minute to catch up, for you to catch up. While you, okay,
Ready.
did
Okay.
you had another item, right?
Yeah, two small things.
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead, why don't you keep
Okay.
going now?
I think that for the cost estimate down below, it says depending on result of current design phase. And when I see current, it makes me think it's the currently design in design.
Mhm.
And then I don't know, for phase construction, I mean, it could be design of alternatives. And not necessarily just construction, if council wants to go forward and study or design alternatives.
Mhm.
And then there's one other thing. I lied.
Let him catch up first.
Okay.
So far, you're doing great. Both of you.
Thanks for being slow.
No
No,
worries.
no,
So the last thing is just that the second sentence, I think. I just find that one factually not correct. Closure of a major gap in the PED bike networks. And there's a sidewalk that is 6 foot wide in perfect condition, running from Mount Diablo all the way up to Stanley. So I don't see there's any gap in the pedestrian network. I see there, you could maybe say the bike network is insufficient or incomplete because it changes from a class 3 to a class 2.
The west side does not have a pedestrian network. East side, yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it's pretty incomplete. Right? I mean,
Okay, if you're gonna look at the west side where no one walks because there's no sidewalk perhaps, or because there's no origin or destination. There's a small segment.
Yep.
There's a small segment. It's between the Deer Hill, edge of the Deer Hill property and that first off ramp or on ramp.
So would you like to see that amended somehow?
Well, I just, was thinking east side because that is where we have a functional sidewalk that runs from the origin to the destination. And that's what everyone uses because that's where the amenities or the destinations are, the high school, the residents in the neighborhood. So,
not the future residents of the terraces, but
at some point.
at some point.
Right, well, aren't they going to be building the sidewalk as part of that project?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
So then they'll complete it. In that project.
It's an entire route, say, that would go from one end to Pleasant Hill Road and then Taylor and so on and so on. What is the objection to having just a plain old bicycle lane on each side of the street? What's wrong with that?
You mean
Well, there
the
already is
existing?
there already is a class 3 route, I believe, designation for that, but
Well, sometimes you would sort of
we're
never
now
know it
dealing
was
with a new,
there.
but now we're dealing with a new proposal of this pathway.
Yes, I know, I realize we are. By the way, I should pass on to you that Sausalito got back to me after they had studied our plan for that Central Lane for quite some time, and they had had one in Sausalito for a long time. And they took it out and they read our plans and at least what we had of our plans at that time. And they said, don't do that. Don't do that. That's dangerous, very dangerous. And that's why they took theirs out. But just so you are aware of that, but I think
Well, I think you should, if you had that type of feedback in writing, you should have forwarded it to Patrick.
it was on this, it was informal writing on the computer,
Okay,
back and forth with
all right.
the
So, but for
different
the purpose,
police. I was talking to the police department, but
okay,
not the traffic engineers.
okay.
But I don't understand why we just don't promote our own bike lanes and leave them at that, because people should be driving on the right side of the street. They shouldn't be driving on the wrong side of the street, and then they end up with a lot more problems than they would have had to begin with. I think they belong one on each side of the street.
Okay.
So Holland doesn't screw around with theirs, and I don't think we should either.
Okay.
Can I just say
Yeah.
one more thing about
Yeah.
gap? Thank you,
Yeah.
Lynn. So major gap to me sounds like there's just a break. You cannot go from Stanley to Deer Hill walking, that there's no facility. At least there's one on one side. I mean, I agree there's not complete on the west side, but someone can feasibly from the west go up across if they had to. So,
It was dying.
so, and then bicycles, I agree, there is definitely an incomplete, maybe not gap, but not satisfactory.
So
So what do you say?
are you proposing to change the wording on that section?
I would, I don't like seeing major gap in the pedestrian network. Because it's actually a place where we have a very long continuous 6-foot sidewalk that we don't have in a lot of places in Lafayette. I mean, I would say a major gap is right here by the Taco Bell, where we have nothing to get all the way down to, I mean, I don't even think there's a sidewalk down by Uncle Hughes, or not to Uncle Hughes, Great Wall.
Right.
So that's a major gap.
So would you say something like, or would you be amenable to something that said, the project would result in the partial closure of gaps in the pedestrian and bicycle network?
I would think bicycle network, certainly. I mean, I think this sidewalk's not insignificant. I learned that Caltrans' scope of work for the RRFBs is 18 beacons with luminaries, which I think we see in the next item report. And it's going to cost about $1 million. So they're putting a lot of money into this sidewalk because they know it's there and it functions and they want it to be better. And I'm really glad about that.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the language you'd like to see?
I think gap and bicycle network, if that's the way it's evaluated, is fine. You could be specific and just say incomplete western sidewalk, but note that there's a complete eastern sidewalk.
Patrick, does that make sense to you?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, go
I
ahead.
mean, well, I'm just wondering, have we made all the changes to that?
Okay, do you have any comments about the wording or anything?
Not at the moment.
I want to thank everybody for talking about this item, because when I came before the meeting started, I had assumed that we would either modify it or put a disclaimer in there, I agree with Greg that I really would prefer to have this in the package, so it's part of the record.
Right.
I'm comfortable with all of the changes that we've discussed tonight, and I personally think that would clear up some of the confusion that this item had presented. So
Can we ask Patrick just to review the changes, just so we're,
please do.
Yeah, here are the notes. I heard conducting several studies to consider alternative alignments. At the somewhere in the bottom of the paragraph. I can work that in. Is that correct? Stop me if if I'm misinterpreting the notes, right? So
Sure.
I'm adding, in addition to mentioning CCTA's potential corridor management study, there are several additional studies to consider alternative alignments.
Mhm, yeah, consider conducting separate studies of alternatives to the center median. Mhm.
Change
these-
the
are
word
these
eliminate to
legitimate
minimize or
traffic
reduce. In the project intent. Cost estimate, sounds too specific to say current design phase, so, perhaps just remove the word current.
Mhm.
Perhaps change the phase from construction to design and construction,
Mhm.
acknowledging that there may be more work the council may want to fund. And then, revise the second sentence that mentions the closure of the major gap in the ped and bike networks, to reflect what's actually out there today.
Mhm.
The gap in the bicycle network and an incomplete west side sidewalk or something to that effect.
Mhm.
So, I, go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't think we have public
Yeah,
comment.
yeah. I'm good with kind of what we've talked about. Thank you, Greg. So at this point, we're gonna open up the meeting to public comment. We have one person in the room. Do you care to talk about this item?
What a surprise.
And start with your name, please. Just,
Ramsey Thomas, I'm one of the residents of the Aquas community, and it was exactly this item that I was
yes.
asked to come here and be at least one person.
Uh-huh.
I can only speak for myself, but listening to this discussion has been rewarding. I think I myself, and I can't speak for anyone else. So very good about what Greg has said, Bart has said, try and make this as and Lynn as well. It's got to be clear to the public that this is not rubber stamping and what was perceived to be a done deal, but is funding for something that is still to be decided. And all options are still on board. And if that is your goal, then thank you very much from our community. Well done.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Thank you for your comment. All right. So,
Can I say something?
yeah, please do.
It's not on this subject,
Oh, wait.
but it's on the general subject, which is, speaking of neighborhoods, I was driving east on School Street and on Brook and at the intersection of Brook and Moraga Road, is it a church or it's I can't
The
think.
Masonic Temple?
What is it?
Masonic Temple?
Yeah, the Masonic Temple, thank you. Right there, there's a big slash across it. I don't know if it's paint or chipped. But the purpose of the sign that's instructing people to wait for certain lights is obliterated. So it needs to be replaced, that sign.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, next time, let's bring that up in the.
No, I don't want to bring it up again.
I said next time.
Probably won't remember it again.
Next time, okay. So, thank you for that comment. Yeah.
Can I just ask one thing, Patrick, that first sentence for the project description, can you tell me again your change? I may have missed that one.
The intent of the project is to reduce or minimize conflicts.
And I would just say improve safety of pedestrians and bicyclists at the off ramps and on ramps.
Well, then that makes it seem as if the alignment is on the east side rather than being general.
Well, then how can we figure that one?
By saying to increase safety?
To improve safety.
In the interchange, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what the alignment is, that whole Mount Diablo to Deer Hill is the Highway 24 interchange.
Mm-hmm.
The intent of the project is to reduce conflicts and increase safety between pedestrians and bicyclists
And vehicles.
and vehicles. Stella, does that work for you?
Yeah, you said reduce
To
conflicts and improve safety?
and increase safety or improve safety, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, that's the intent, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that would be, yep, that would work for both alignments.
Okay,
I'd make a motion to update the project as discussed this evening, and then send the entire list of projects to city council for discussion. And I'm say action, maybe not approval.
mhm. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, that's been motion, it's been seconded, so let's just have a roll call vote. Stella?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Aye. Aye, so it's unanimous. And thank you for everybody that participated, and sorry for the people online that weren't able to comment. Thank you for your comments also. All right.
you mentioned your neighborhood, which was your neighborhood?
Ramsey Thomas.
What?
Akalani.
Akalani's.
Yeah, but are you over the Akalani's homeowners association, or are you here on East Pleasant Hill Road, the Akalani's Road there are two of them.
Well, I'm in the.
Near the high school, right?
Near the high school.
There.
By
you
the
go.
high
Okay,
school?
all right, let's move on to.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right, so, okay, ready? To move on?
One moment, please.
All right.
We're ready for item 17?
All right,
Here?
all right, why don't you start?
You can show this. Hold on, we're not ready yet.
Was it Control L? The mysterious Control L? All right,
We are in business, okay. So I believe you may all be familiar with the TDA grant, but to review, the Transportation Development Act allows each county to establish a quarter-cent sales tax to fund a variety of transportation projects, from transit projects to transportation planning studies to bicycle and pedestrian studies or projects. MTC allows for 2% of TDA funds to be collected for TDA Article 3 projects in each county. And this specific grant opportunity funds the construction of eligible pedestrian and bicycle projects. So the TDA grant call for projects was announced about a month ago with a grant application deadline of January 25th. Eligible projects require a review by this commission, as well as our city council, who must endorse a resolution. So, as you all also may know, TDA grants don't come with large price tags or dollar figures. Last year, we received $100,000, so that's about typically the funds that we receive for projects. So we're not looking at major projects. That's about the scale that we can expect. So the project that was chosen by staff for consideration is construction of a RRFB, a rectangular rapid flashing beacon crossing of Mount Diablo Boulevard at Hampton Road Drive. Next slide. So here's a site map of the section of Mount Diablo Boulevard with Hampton Road in the center. So to the west, the Brown and Almanor intersection includes a full traffic signal And then the Stewart Street crosswalk is uncontrolled. And to the east, the Carroll Lane intersection includes a full signal as well. There's about 1,200 feet between Brown Avenue and Hampton Road, and about 1,000 feet, just over 1,000 feet between Hampton Road and Carroll Lane. In addition, there's a bus stop at the intersection with Hampton Road for County Connection Route 625, which provides service to Ocolonus High School. And then the Lafayette School Bus runs a bus route to Stanley and Burton Valley from the Willow intersection, 1 block to the east. So school bus stops within the general vicinity. This project has been requested by the community several times, most recently in 2019 through a transportation action request that was discussed here, proposed by the community, signed by many, many people in that community. So it remains a priority for the community. That hasn't changed. What has changed is that Mount Diablo Boulevard, the eastern third of Mount Diablo from Willow to Pleasant Hill Road, is now identified as part of Lafayette's high injury network as part of our 2023 local road safety plan. So this includes roadway segments where collisions resulting in fatality or serious injury have occurred and or more likely to occur. And LRSP determined that resources should be dedicated along those high injury network roadway segments to prevent future collisions resulting in fatality and serious injury. Next slide. So I just have a few photos of existing conditions that are also in the staff report. This is looking eastbound at the crossing, which you can see kind of right there in the center. The width of the roadway is just over 70 feet and includes 4 travel lanes, the center turn lane, and 2 bike lanes. Next slide. So here are 2 additional photos looking both east and west at the same crosswalk. Caught a poor man trying to get across the street right here. But I also want to mention that ADA upgrades would also be required as part of this project to meet ADA compliance. So this would include new curb ramps on both sides of the street, as well as an upgrade to the bus stop, which is right here on the right photo. So the bus stop upgrades would include a landing pad, as well as an accessible path of travel to the bus stop. Next. So this is a very high level concept design to describe the intent of the project. The project would include a short ped refuge island where a pedestrian could make sure that the opposite lanes of traffic are stopping for them. There will also be a push button there to reactivate the push button, the beacons. The RFB would be solar powered. However, the traffic speeds along Mount Diablo Boulevard are on the high end of what would be recommended for an RFB.
Excuse me,
So we'd like to design the project.
Sorry, Cheryl, don't bother with that. So, because he's talking about that, you might want to comment on what he's talking about. Sorry. Sorry.
Can you back up just a tiny little bit? We have a new visitor.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is her turf.
No.
I know that.
Yeah.
Again, the RFPs would be solar powered, but again, the traffic speeds along this segment of Mount Diablo are on the higher end of what the higher threshold of what would be recommended for RFPs. So we'd like to design the project to accommodate a potential future upgrade to a pedestrian hybrid beacon as needed, these are also known as hawk crossings, which would require kind of drivers to fully stop as a pedestrian activates the call button, as opposed to yielding with an RFB. So hawk crossings are more effective for multi-lane roadways with higher traffic speeds and higher volumes of traffic. So hawk signals would require that we be connected to a power source, which we don't have today. So that would involve collaboration with PG&E, which would make this a very time-intensive and much more expensive project. So at this point, we are proposing to install an RFB on mast arms that would allow us to more easily convert the crossing type in the future as needed without initiating another capital project. Next slide. So our initial cost estimate is that the project would cost about $410,000, and our fund request from the TDA grant would be for $150,000. The remainder of the funds would be requested as part of the 2025 and 2026 capital improvement program. And that's what I have.
Question.
All right, you first then.
Can you explain to us the difference between the type of signal that will prevent left turns out of the road versus one that won't bother such movements, I guess I
So
want to
this
say.
is being designed to accommodate every movement that can happen today will be able to happen with this. So,
Okay, so we don't have to worry about an island that's padded in or decorated or tiled in or whatever.
well, there would be an island, but it wouldn't preclude any movement that you can do today from happening in the future.
From the
Well,
north side of the street.
If I may, that the specific concern is that residents that want to make a left turn out of Hampton, they're asking, would they be able to do that? And you're
Correct.
saying
The answer is
you're
yes.
saying they would.
Can you go
Yes.
back to the diagram? That's that one, okay. Thank you. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So you're saying that people exiting Hampton Road can make a left, but what it means really is that they have to be going around the pedestrian refuge.
Right.
So that's fine. It's as long as people understand that that's what they would have to do. Okay, so
So just to clarify, this would be the same as we see in the central part of downtown? Like, for example, when you're coming out of Lafayette Circle and you want to make a left turn onto Mount Diablo and there's median there, you would
Yes.
just be going
Around.
around it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
However, this is being designed very short because there are driveways, particularly on the north side. It's not a gas station, but it's a service station.
Mhm.
So this would not preclude, again, any of the turns into or out of those driveways either, nor would it require any changes to the parking along the south side.
Mhm. And so there's no one that's driving and wants to make a turn onto eastbound Mount Diablo, coming from that north? I'm gonna look at it.
Where you still could do it.
They have to go around the island
Yes.
or,
Mhm.
okay, it's hard to see what's up there. I'm
Yeah.
gonna look at my computer online here.
do you need us to wait or can I ask you a question?
No, you can go ahead. Sorry, I'm just
Okay.
gonna, yeah.
So, I want to go back to the difference between a Hawk system and this proposal. And maybe I didn't hear it correctly, or maybe, would a Hawk system also require the building of a pedestrian refuge?
We would, for multi-lane road, yes.
And was your comments, did I hear them correctly? That this design work could later be changed to a Hawk system?
Correct.
Okay, so you'd do what you need to do, would start off with a lower cost, rapid flashing beacons,
Yes,
and then it could be upgraded someday to a Hawk system.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
So we would install mast arms with the RFBs. We would have them wired,
Uh-huh,
but not connected to anything, right? Because the RFBs would be solar powered.
yeah,
And then if we did want to upgrade it, that's when we reach out to PG&E to look for the power source. But it wouldn't require us to install anything new, other than the
Flashing.
flashing. Yeah.
And what does a Hawk system do that the flashing beacons don't?
Yeah, so flashing beacons are, you're aware what they are, right? It's the
Right,
flashing LED lights,
Orange.
that require yielding to
Right.
heads in the crosswalk.
which yielding is stopping. If there's a pit in the
Right.
crosswalk, you're gonna
But
stop,
the
obviously.
pedestrian hybrid beacon, flashes yellow and then all red. And so it would require vehicles to stop until the red starts blinking, in which case you can continue if there are no pedestrians in the crosswalk. So it's a higher level of safety, but not a traffic signal.
It's more alerting, seeing the red light
Mhm.
versus the flashing. Okay,
So is it a moving violation if you run through it? Like a stop sign or a stop light?
I believe it is,
Okay.
but good question. So we can confirm that.
I don't think I've seen any in the Bay Area.
There are quite a few in Berkeley on San Pablo as an example.
Oh, okay.
I don't think
San
we're
Jose
yet
has
in
got them.
Lafayette, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and definitely not Lafayette, but I hadn't even noticed Berkeley, but
Oh, okay.
so San Pablo, I should
Mhm.
take a look. Okay.
Additional questions?
Just having difficulty getting my map, so
Okay,
I may have a question after
that's
I
fine.
get it up.
Any questions from you, or should we go to public comment? Are you ready to talk or ask questions, or you want? Are you ready to do public comment?
I'm ready now.
Okay, then we're gonna open up the room for public comment. Thank you.
She is ready.
She said,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I said that we're open.
ready enough.
Yeah, we're opening it up. Thank you for coming down. We apologize for the technical problems we just couldn't solve.
Before my minutes start, I'd like to say what happened on our end.
Yeah, sure.
On our end, we heard everybody speak,
Uh-huh.
and you guys obviously were somehow not hearing us speak, but and when I heard other speakers speak, we could hear them clear the bell, so it's sort of like
Oh.
we heard everything clear the bell, but maybe your volume was, it felt like you were muted and we were able to hear everything. So Jean and I heard clear the bell.
Yeah.
There was another speaker that came in, I don't know who it was now, but they were clear the bell.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like you were the ones that were muted. I just wanted to give you
Yeah.
a hard perspective of what was going on.
Well, the other thing you couldn't hear is there was a lot of feedback. So we'd hear somebody speak, and then 20 seconds later, we'd heard that same conversation again. So it was very discombobulating. So,
So I know there are one other person that might want to speak if there was a willingness to try on this subject. If it fails, we fail, but that's up to you guys.
well, before you got here, I was prepared to be the advocate, the odd man out for the residents. So since you're here, why don't you start?
Appreciate
Okay.
that. I mean, any
All right.
other,
Okay.
especially with technical difficulties.
Yeah.
So I'll just say that, I knew about this project a little bit back in 2019. At the time, that a few of us that were aware of this project, there was no island in the middle. So there was no, high alert that said, let's go to the neighborhood because we can still get out and make the double left-hand turn. So he's saying we can still do everything as normal. We say we can't. We say when we make a left out of Hampton, we go into the double left-hand turn lane, and then we wait for the traffic to clear if we need to, and then we merge into the flow of traffic heading west. So what he's saying, faces in truth, but for us, it's not really the truth. It's gonna be different for us. We're not, if we go out into the traffic, we're gonna have our little butts sitting out into traffic. Or if we're not ready, we're gonna have to wait for everything to clear in all directions in order to, so our safety net is being taken away. The way we're thinking about it, the few that know about this. The other thing I wanna say is that it's Christmas. This is a subject that, we feel we're being, everybody's busy who are leaving town. People are getting ready for Christmas holidays, they're shopping, they're not waiting, looking at agendas. I didn't even see this agenda until today, because I have a fiscal issue that's coming up in 4 days. That's where my concerns were. So I feel like this should not be decided today. Talk about it. But I can tell you that none of the neighbors know about this. And the few that did know, the city did reach out to us. Mike Moran knows that Dawn and I and Bobby were very involved in 2019. There was no reaching out to us, and we're not hidden people. We're attend all these meetings visually. They know our emails, and we were not contacted. I feel like Copper Lane. In a way, we were broadsided by this because it's not pedestrian safety that we're worried about. We validate pedestrian safety. That's why we brought this issue to the table. It's about pedestrian safety. But to have a change with the island, we were never told about this island, this little tiny island. And I understand the purpose of it, but it's a big change to the neighborhood. And we were not told about it, and it just happened, and Dawn happened to see it this afternoon. And the only reason why I'm even here, speaking on behalf of the neighbors that don't know about this. It's not that the neighbors will say no to this or yes to this. They don't even get a chance to say, and you're the advisory body that speaks to the city council. How do you advise when you don't even have a chance to hear us? And it's Christmas. So that's my comment. I just wish you to talk about this. There's time, have a special meeting. Let us be involved. Citizens love to be involved. It's not that we're all out to condemn the projects. We want to be involved. As a matter of fact, I think your anger will be less if you let us be involved instead of doing this project and then going, oh, sorry, it's already a grant that's been applied for, tough. This is another copy made. We knew about this project. They knew about School Street. They didn't know that it was going to affect their street. We knew about this project going over and the stoplight and the pedestrian safety. We brought it to the city's attention. Obviously, we're into pedestrian safety. What we didn't know is about the median until today, this afternoon, about 6 hours ago, and that's not fair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hold on a second.
Wait.
Good.
Yeah,
Sorry, I got emotional there.
this is a grant that has to be completed. Is it January 20th,
25th.
25th? Is there any date in there that would be because it would have to finish at the city council level? Is there any date that you could think of that you can,
Pick a day in January and let us know and we'll be there.
approximately when though?
Okay, well, no,
No,
well,
let her talk, let her
I'm
talk.
saying if you, city offices are closed until January, whatever, 2nd or 1st.
Right.
I don't know. Pick a day after that. We'll be there. Just let us know.
I was gonna bring up the topic of delaying it, so let's,
So
any other?
we're
yeah.
open. If you let
Yeah.
us know a
No,
date, we'll be there.
I appreciate what you're saying, but any other questions about what she said?
Yeah, sorry, I would like to clarify.
Yeah.
So when you're speaking of turning left.
That's right, yeah. Can you go back to the map,
Okay.
Patrick? I just
Yeah,
want to
that
make
would
sure
be-
I understand. Yeah.
So Cheryl, when you're speaking about turning left from Hampton Road onto Mount Diablo to
Right.
go westbound,
Correct.
you're describing that you would normally use that area,
Yes.
that median, well, it's really the fifth lane, it's the middle lane,
Yeah, the double left-hand turn lane is what we call it.
double left-hand turn
You
lane.
can
To,
you can go show us.
No,
No, no. Okay.
To,
I just want to make sure I know, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're turning kind of right where the island is.
My car will be in the median.
so it's,
I don't know this map very well. I
Yeah.
saw it like 3 hours ago on the phone.
so,
I think it's where
Turning left here
that, yeah.
and using that.
Yeah.
So using that area and then waiting until it's clear.
So confusing.
yeah,
So this
Okay.
is, this time, this is the
Okay.
double left-hand turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the proximity between Hampton and this island is like right there. So if I come
Yeah.
out of my street, I hit this. So in the past, of course, we yield to pedestrians. We drive out of the street every day, so we're always aware of pedestrians crossing. And there aren't that many, but there are, and we're very aware of them because we live here. But now we have to come out of here, and that is our double left-hand turn lane. It is also a crosswalk, but of course, we don't hit pedestrians. There's no accidents there.
But Patrick, can I just ask, what about putting the crosswalk on the eastern leg? Like, what if the crosswalk was on the eastern side of Hampton?
There's a gas station driveways on the opposite
But
side.
there are two driveways in there they could use to exit. I mean, I
Well-
think it to be reevaluated.
but hold on, I wanna get some more questions
Okay.
for her, and then we're gonna talk about that also. And
So for us.
Yeah.
Hampton.
Right.
You can see that this is our street and the island's right there.
Right, so,
So for us to pull into this area to merge, we're gonna hit the island.
That's very clear. That's very clear to us.
Yeah,
And so.
We're clear.
Appreciate
our
that.
island's gonna
She's
sit
that
here,
hurt, she's
and
Cheryl.
we have to wait for all the traffic to clear.
no, I understand. Thank you,
Yeah,
Cheryl,
I appreciate it.
Thank
for
you.
pointing that out.
Cheryl, I also had a question. So, I was curious if you have a sense for, because when I look at the map, Actually, go back to the beginning, to the site maps. The neighborhood, the extended neighborhood there, can get out of the neighborhoods two ways. They go out of Hampton, or they go, is it, the next one down, is it Willow?
Yeah.
Willow. And so I guess the question I had is, how many people coming out of Hampton take a left, versus taking a right? Do you, any sense on?
It's 50-50. Anybody wants to go grocery shopping or go to Cullen or go to the theater or go anywhere or making a left.
Well, I didn't ask I didn't ask the question the right way. It's gonna be harder to turn left at certain times of day, right? Or is it always difficult?
It's always difficult.
It's not always difficult. There are times of the day when it's really easy,
Yeah,
like middle of the day,
uh-huh,
before school gets out. And we don't get a lot of school kids, actually. We get a few. A lot of them are just going from the neighborhoods to Kung Fu, which is there's
Right.
a Kung Fu place there.
Yeah.
But during commute time,
Yeah.
that double left-hand turn lane is our saving grace.
right. Because if you look at the map, so what I was saying is, I would say most people would, out of habit, then go straight up Hampton and take a left when they're going town, but they could also go down to, is that Willow? And they could take a left at Willow also.
So that's putting, yes, you're right. So that's putting two large neighborhoods out one exit,
If they're turning left, yeah.
the turning
Yeah.
left. And I don't know that the neighboring neighborhood wants that added congestion. They have like tons and tons of little kids that are
Mhm.
growing up. They have like, compared to our neighborhood, they have
Okay.
a ton of kids.
All right.
Can we return this
Yeah.
back to?
Yes, okay, thank you for answering the questions.
So I appreciate the idea
Yeah.
of continuing it, so
Uh,
we can have our speed.
Thank
All
you.
right.
I want
All
to
right.
say that for Cheryl. Thank you, Cheryl, for
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Okay, so returning this, thank you for your comments. There's nobody else in the room. We'll bring the topic back to for discussion,
So
so.
if I could just jump in, I guess one of the things that's gonna be discussed is potentially moving the crosswalk to the other side of Hampton, and we'll get into that. But my one question is, do we need to have the refuge
Yes.
there?
Yes.
And if that's because of the width, the distance?
Yeah.
Okay,
We want the push button again. We want the ability for the pedestrian to be able to look at the other direction of traffic and then be able to push the button.
okay, because right now the crosswalk doesn't have a refuge. There's just a crosswalk there that spans the entire. Is that,
That's why the TAR was initiated in 2019 by the community.
right,
Yeah.
right, but is that also, is that in counter to Caltrans design requirements and everything? Is that dated? I'm just curious. Does Caltrans now require, given that this is greater than 70 feet, does Caltrans require the refuge?
I don't know if Caltrans requires it. I think we would. I'm not sure if we would be considered eligible for this grant without providing pedestrian safety, full pedestrian safety at this crossing.
Okay,
Questions, comments?
Well, just comments, yeah, I mean, I experienced in weather conditions similar to your photographs about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but at night, so this time of night, a person crossing, and they were mostly invisible. It's a very, very unsafe crosswalk. And I totally understand why we would need to have some type of a refuge in the middle for someone to pause, because many cars don't pay any attention to our RFPs, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But I do think that, I mean, looking at the aerial, there might be a possibility of just moving the crosswalk to the eastern leg.
No, I think we asked that question of Mike Moran once, and at the time, the comment was there are exits from the gas station or the service station that would prevent that.
I can see
However, I wanted to ask you, because of the staff report said that this would include changes to the sidewalk structure for ADA compliance. Would moving it closer to the Shell side, would that cause additional cost versus just, in other words, if you move it versus just reconfiguring it, but if you're upgrading it to ADA, is that the same as rebuilding it from scratch?
I don't have the answer to that.
Okay. Then the other question I had was if we, and I had thought about this, Stella, if we had moved the crosswalk to the other side of the street, away from the bus stop. The question is then, do people turning left on Mount Diablo Boulevard, if they're driving westbound and they want to turn into the Hampton Road, wouldn't the refuge prevent them from turning there?
Yes.
Unless they were just staying in their lane, blinking and waiting to turn. That there wouldn't be a left turn pocket. As there is right now with the center.
Right.
Lane. Is it possible for you to bring up a map with an aerial image, just to answer this question about the location? Because what I see looks like it might be possible.
Sure.
And I think, I mean, that entry or that maneuver when you're going westbound Mount Diablo and turning left onto Hampton is already going to be a bit easier, because all you're trying to do is just wait for a gap in the eastbound Mount Diablo traffic to just get across into your Hampton. I mean, I understand what Cheryl's saying.
Yeah.
She's got to be looking for 4 lanes plus the center median of traffic to be able to get out.
Yeah. Actually, maybe before we even go into Stella's request, I guess maybe we could, before we try and figure out if we can figure it out. I guess the question I had is about the timing, when I was reading through the report earlier, I also wondered about the deadlines and the TDA application is due on the 25th. It has to have a resolution from the city council. There is a meeting on January 22nd from
Of the city council.
of the city council. And I didn't know how tight, and there's also a meeting on January 2nd for the city council. So
January 8th.
Oh, 8th.
Yes.
Oh, shoot. I had it. Yes.
That helps.
Okay. So I didn't know whether or not, if things got pushed into January, if that would be doable. So we would be, we'd want to, 2 questions. One, could we delay that item at the city council and still get it in on time? I guess is one question.
Can the whole staff do it? And can we get the neighbors to do it also at the same time?
No, let's work backwards though. If we did if the city council considered it on the 22nd, is that enough time for staff to get it? If they approve a resolution that means it's the 23rd, it gives you only 2 days, right, to get it in.
There are huge reports for a grant like that.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is it electronic or is it physically delivered? I mean,
It is actually physically delivered,
okay, that's okay, right.
believe it or not.
Okay,
It's what?
it's physically delivered, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
printed, okay. So that kind of suggests that January 22nd might be too tight.
So maybe what could we have that would work in
But again,
January?
I want to repeat that if we did do a median on the east side, that would likely preclude left turns into Hampton, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, but I was saying that when you're driving westbound on Mount Diablo and you want to turn left into Hampton, you're only just looking at the traffic coming at you going eastbound Mount Diablo and then waiting for your break to go in. It's a little different, I think, than leaving Hampton to go across the eastbound traffic and then also try to hope that you've got clearance in the gap on the westbound. To me, the maneuver seems a bit easier, but I don't know, maybe.
there's
Maybe our
also gas
residents
station
can-
driveways on the southeast corner, right? So
Yeah.
putting a median there would preclude those turn movements as well.
From
or
the
at least
gas?
into the gas station.
Yeah, it'd be
southeast
helpful to
corner.
look at it
Okay.
for reference for everyone to see the same thing. It looks to me like there's actually just a parking area and a tree at the corner.
I'd like to know when Cheryl feels or believes that she can get the troops out to discuss all this?
I haven't,
How
I
soon?
haven't finished
That's
with
the
the
word.
question on the time.
It's as important, I want to tell you something, as important as our staff reviewing this is the neighbors and the residents in the area and property owners, not just the ones who live here, but there are property owners all around who have property there.
I get that.
Yeah,
So-
they need to
Okay, so
figure
I wanna-
out this cause also.
Okay, I want to finish with my line of questioning. So the 22nd seems too tight because of physical delivery. January 8th, though, would allow, seems plenty of time to deliver, to execute something and get it. Okay. Then the question is, when's our first Transcirc meeting in January? Was it the-
16.
It was the 16th. Okay.
60, can we move it? Can we move it to earlier? The 16th is pretty late. It's very close for staff to be working on a grant after that. I mean, before that.
A
Can
special meeting?
can we move it to earlier in January?
Well, it would have to be before the city council meeting, which
Exactly.
the first
And they
week.
still need time for staff to do the work.
Correct, and our offices are closed next
Right,
week, so
right.
that doesn't leave time.
Okay.
So what would leave time? How soon would the neighborhood have to meet first? And first the staff, then the neighborhood, then the staff again, then the city council. What would that require? We can change our date, we can change
Well,
our
the other, I mean,
transfer date.
the other option is if, we don't have really a lot of time
No,
to
that's
do
the problem.
do the things you're talking about.
Sort of back up.
But
But I think we can squeeze it in.
Let Bart finish.
but, I mean, if it's that, if it's important to involve community input, and
Definitely.
I agree, it is very important to involve community input, we would have to, defer making this application. And
Either that or apply for the funding and then work on the design, right? So what you saw is not a design, that's just a sketch.
or that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Or that, yeah.
Do you have an alternative project? If the details of this one were too difficult to squeeze in the timeline? Nothing.
I'd say conceptually, I'm very much in favor of this as a project. I remember when we first talked about it at the transportation meeting many years ago. And how we were able to find the one construction project that might be the source of funds for it. And that was exciting. And then, of course, that hasn't happened.
Mhm.
So the idea that this has come up and might be we might not get the grant, even if we apply for it. But I think that in general, my idea is we try to get the money and then you go back, and if it's not gonna match, if it's not gonna be acceptable to the community, then you just don't build it.
You don't want to
I
do
don't
that.
know. I
No,
don't know.
Remember, the
Wants to
community,
turn
if
it
you look
down.
at the tar that's in the.
Yeah.
One of the attachments, there are many signatures
Right.
there. The
One-
project is supported.
yes, but one of the
There's
things,
design questions that are.
right. I agree with you. But the TAR also said that they didn't want to have a refuge island at that point. That was also in the TAR. So, I mean, I'm trying to balance here. How do we maximize community and get the money at the same time? You know, so, and I'm having trouble with delaying it because I don't know.
What I just heard Patrick say is that we can request the money.
Yeah,
We don't have to go into specifics of the design
right.
in order to get the money. We can get into the actual design after we have the money. We can work with the community, get their feedback,
Right.
and come up with something that will be acceptable.
Right.
Maybe not perfect, but acceptable, because this is something the community wants. I mean,
Is
they
that
submitted the
very-
car.
Is that
Very
true though?
much.
I mean, is that true technically? We don't really know what else will fit here.
So as an example, last year's project that I applied for, the pathway on the west side of Pleasant Hill Road, between Spring Hill and the Briona staging area.
Mhm.
I had said, we need to do a technical survey. We don't know how this is gonna hit Spring Hill. It depends on meeting ADA compliance.
Yeah.
Question mark. We were successful in that grant.
Mhm.
And now we have to work on design, right? So for this grant application, all the answers don't need to be known.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
I'm saying if we do say, approve you going to city council with this, and then they approve the grant, you get the grant, and then now you have the money which you have to spend, and then you find, oh, this is the only design, we have to put a median here, and that seems to me the issue that we're trying to work out right now. We don't want to be in that position, in my mind. So I would like to understand, I mean, if we could look at the map, so we're all seeing the same thing. I mean, I'm looking at, Apple Maps has a
Mhm.
satellite view. It would be possible to put it on the screen, then we could take a look at the area, because, I mean, if it's not possible to move the crosswalk location to the east, what other potential options are there?
Can I just, yeah, that's a good question, but I'm just looking at the recommendation in the staff report.
Mhm.
And if you look at the recommendation, there's nothing about design in it. It's just, the recommendation is what it says right here, indicating that review the staff report and field conditions on Mount Diablo Boulevard at Hampton Road to decide if the flashing beacon is warranted. And we agree it is.
I understand that, but I mean, we have a design right now and we have some critique for the design. So I think we have to consider what we're seeing here.
Well, I think we all agree that there may be problems with the design, but again, our recommendation doesn't include anything about the design. I mean, that's something we're discussing right now. It's been presented to us and we're discussing. But what I heard from Patrick is that the design is not part of the grant application. Is it? Is the
No.
design we're looking at right now, is that going to be part of the grant application? And would we be tied to that if we get
We
the
would not
money?
be tied to that because we've not done surveying, we've not done the outreach. So this is a
Yeah.
planning level concept.
So it's, yeah, and it'd be presented as a concept, yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay, well, I guess I just still would like to understand, is that really the only location? Is that the best location for that crosswalk?
And how adjustable is it? How adjustable later would it be? Once we put one in, is there something that is easy to switch later?
If it's constructed, it's hard to switch. Yes.
Well, are you,
So was there an area on the east side of Hampton Road that is a candidate location? I'm seeing like that shrub where your pointer is. And it goes just to some of the landscaped area of that gas station.
Goes to the right of the gas station, that
It doesn't go into the driveway, it's actually,
goes to where that black car is.
yeah. Cause you can, I mean, I think you can sign like the gas station exits and entrances to say, no left turn if you're coming out and such.
So I think there's a potential, Stella, that we could do that, but we don't have to make a decision on that right now.
Oh, I understand, but I just would like to
Yeah.
know, I mean, if it's a hard no, the crosswalk's the only place where this can happen, then I mean.
Yeah,
It's a
I see
challenging
yeah, I
decision
see your point,
to
yeah.
make, because I mean, there's a tar with a lot of people on it, and I appreciate, they've given us feedback, but the part that I'm well, the part that's dissatisfying is that the city staff didn't reach out to Dawn, who is the tar requester. I mean, usually I think they're told like your tar's coming up and will be discussed and here's the report and such, so.
I'd agree with that.
I think it is a difficult time of year in terms of timing on things. And so, I don't see how we can ask staff to come back with, okay, I say it differently. If we vote to approve this as a target for a grant opportunity, and then it goes to the city council, will they say the same materials, or would they be able to find, would they be able to, understand that we wanted to understand about alternate crosswalk location, you know, again, to Bart's point, this is all, you get the money and then you have to do the designs, right? So,
And then we would, in the staff report to the city council, we would say that.
Yeah.
That the design still needs to be developed.
right,
We want to get community input, neighborhood input on the design.
Yeah.
That's all to come, once we receive the grant,
yeah, if we get the grant.
if we get the
Yeah.
grant. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I really appreciate Cheryl coming to describe her use case, because it didn't occur to me. I mean, when I asked Patrick about it's just like any other median in downtown, you can just turn around it. I did not think about that those intersections that I'm describing that I know in downtown at Oak Hill and Lafayette Circle and Dewey, they're signalized. So I know when I'm going, I have the right of way. I'm not making stick myself out there and try to get a left turn. And the speeds are much lower. I mean, sign 25, they're lower in downtown than here.
There are also streets on Pleasant Hill Road that require you to turn left around medians. I mean, it's not
On Pleasant Hill Road?
like Amino or, south of the freeway.
I think the Amino, I mean.
So I'm just saying it's
That was
not,
very wide. That, when I was looking at this, that center median is not a very broad one. It's maybe 11, 12 feet.
Mhm.
And Amino is definitely larger. I mean, if you can actually like position yourself perpendicular to the traffic comfortably and then wait, I think that's feasible, but I don't think they can here. I think they'd be sticking out. And I don't know if like diagonal, I mean, I've seen that in LA a number of times, number of places, but.
okay. Options are, again, if you're not comfortable doing that, going over to Willow and turning left from Willow, turning right and going to Carroll and doing a U-turn at the signalized Carroll intersection. There aren't a lack of options for those who aren't comfortable making that left turn out.
Well, I mean, it's a challenging location. I mean, it's just given the location of that road, Hampton Road, and that crosswalk, I mean, and hearing about the need to turn, people who do exit there or turn left, I mean, their only option is to turn left and wait in a crosswalk, which is not good design, whether there's a median or not, beacon or not.
So the question then is it worth, not applying for it? Or we apply for it and then later reject it as not being feasible after design work?
No, I think we can come up with a design with community feedback. I think we can come up with a design that will work. It may not be perfect, but we'll come up with a design that will work. It will be either on one side of Hampton or the other side of Hampton. Maybe some neighbors will choose to go down to Willow. I don't know.
Right.
But the point is, we have an opportunity to get grant funds to fix a problem. We should go off after those grant funds because you don't get that opportunity all the time. But we should allow to get input from the community afterwards to develop, the final plan, the final design.
Well, maybe there will be opportunities for driveway turns. Openings that we didn't see before because someone's going to sell their property and it'll
Right,
turn it.
there may be other that we don't know of.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
If we were to move this forward, would it go to January 8th city council or the 22nd? 8th, okay. It's same days that.
And when would we have to hear from the neighbors and the residents? who
It
live
would
in
have
that
to,
area?
I think it would be at that meeting.
It'd have to
On
be,
the 8th itself?
it'd be on the city council meeting at the 8th, huh?
So you would hear the neighbors, instead of discussing it here again, the neighbors would go to the city council to discuss the plan, is that right? A draft
Not the
plan.
plan, the
Not-
concept, the
Is
grant
Dave
proposal.
agreeing that would work? or Patrick, sorry,
Yes, that would work.
that would work. You think that would work, Cheryl?
But
Huh? Think somebody would come that fast?
I'd like it to.
Can they be
yeah.
rounded up that
Do you-
quickly, do you
I'm
think?
sorry, okay, you can file for, and right now, so what were you saying?
She's part of the neighborhood. I'm asking a question
No,
of a
it's-
neighbor.
It's
No,
not
it's-
time for it.
It's now with us.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yes, I know,
Oh,
I
I'm
know.
sorry, you were,
Sometimes,
Bart, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I think that it needs to come back to us. To have dialogue with the neighbors before we send it to the council. I
Okay,
think we should do that. I don't know how that can happen, given the timing, but. Unless we have a special
We
meeting
have
of
to have
some
a
sort.
special meeting.
Yeah.
For
I think we should do that.
January 2nd. Or thereabouts.
I don't think January 2nd would work very well. Can't we pick a different day? Does it have to be on a Monday?
Well, let's let Patrick.
Well, January
Process
2nd is
this.
Tuesday. We were going to cancel that meeting because I can't get an agenda and staff reports ready for that date.
Yeah.
Given that we're closed until the 1st. I mean, we could try for a special meeting on Thursday, the 4th.
That works. In my calendar.
But I
Some people
like some
will still
clarity
be-
about what it is we're trying to achieve at that meeting.
Public testimony. And other avenues that might open up.
We're trying to get feedback from the neighborhood.
But it won't change the grant application, which is RRFB with a median.
Oh, that's good. That's actually a good point. Yeah, we have the ability to get the money and then engage with the community, with the neighbor. Thank you.
You could
Yeah,
do
I mean,
it could be done. It could be done.
It could be. I mean, I think it's optimal to hear from the neighborhood, really, before we pass it on if we can, because. I mean, clearly, we have a neighbor who brought to us a use case that maybe, I know I had never even conceived of it, and it's helpful in determining. The possibilities, the value, et cetera.
I think it would be a rush job to try to get it done. I think from what I'm hearing from Patrick, he doesn't need to have a design in order to get the grant funding. If he doesn't need a design, we can submit for the grant funding, ideally get it, and then afterwards go into design, involve the neighbors at that time and come up with a design that will satisfy everyone.
That's what I'm feeling.
But
That's where I think we need, that's what
Okay,
I
I
think
don't-
we need.
I don't
trying to
mind
get
that.
some kind of.
And the neighbors could scout around for ideas also, and maybe someone's gonna sell a piece.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just looking for some kind of validation that there are options.
Well, we just discussed it on the other side of Hampton. That's one option.
Oh, I thought that was being dismissed.
No,
Is that not
well,
true?
I mean, yeah, we've discussed it and it's not,
It's not absolute, it's not an absolute.
we're not jumping up and down about it, but I think it's an option to look at. I mean,
Correct. I don't know if by January 4th, if we will have enough information to be able to say, here are the trade-offs from one and here are the trade-offs from the other. Here are the.
but we don't need to
I'm
do
thinking
that
of just
that early.
technical feasibility. Is it a no-go or is it maybe we could work around it? That's what I'm kind of interested in. I
Okay.
mean, and also like moving the crosswalk to the west. There's diagonal parking for a business. I mean, I just don't know what the possibilities are there.
Well, so the thing is, if we got money, which we aren't guaranteed to get money,
Mhm.
then we would go proceed with the design phase. And then we'd also have community engagement at that point. So, I mean, I think that I'm sensitive to, and I agree a lot with what you said and what you say. I'm sensitive to getting the community involved, on things that are very important to them. And I think that in this case, given the timeframes, we should apply for the grant. And then it will give community members a chance to speak at the city council meeting, but it's not substantive in terms of design because it's really, the question is, should we apply for the money? And I think we should apply for the money. And then engage the community and see if, what options there are.
I want to I'd like to make a point here.
Mhm.
We talk about them and us. This is our community. These are our people. This is our neighborhood. It's not just them and us. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Who said them and us?
You did. It's not a matter, we have always been a group that has worked together with the community. And it has to stay that way. It just has to stay that way.
But I'm not saying that we decide on a design.
No, I'm not saying right now, no. I
So-
just
so-
want the tilt changed, that this is not them and us. This is all of us.
I never meant to say them and us, if that's the
Sorry.
way it came across.
That's the way it sounded, yeah.
Okay, well, so what do you feel about, what is your feeling about applying for the money and then working out the design
Yeah.
of the community leader?
Hopefully we can get enough details in that they will be satisfied that this is a good idea, and I think it will be. I do believe that.
Thomas?
Yeah, I'd be in favor of moving it forward. And, you know, the one suggestion I would make, if, you know, should it go forward to city council, is to make it clear that this is conceptual, not designed by any means. It's just the overall project is the RRFB at the crosswalk.
It's worth a try. The project, the walkway along Pleasant Hill Road, I wrote that grant. I wrote the request for the grant. And Mike Moran said, oh, they'll never give us any money for that. And when they did, they funded it totally. And we've just got to remember that we are all together in this.
Okay, so the recommendations was to review the staff report on the field conditions. And I think we all agree that it's an area that warrants improved safety. Then the question is, should we direct staff to present this item to city council and request funding? I feel that we should. So I'm open to somebody making a motion and including concerns if you want to pass along concerns to the city council, if any. Or just go straight with the staff report. Was there any recommendations on changes to the staff report that anybody would like to make?
Well, it could be augmented a little bit. And we discussed that at the beginning anyway.
Well, yeah, you know, I think I'd just make it clear that this is a concept project, that these aren't designs, and that, you know, we, you know, encourage
All right.
staff and Transcert and city council to work with the community. Should we get to that phase?
You know,
Okay.
one thing we used to do, and I don't know whether we have done much of recently, but we used to call up and down the states, not just state, our own state, but we would call everywhere we could manage to get ideas as to how to put this all together. And that worked for us like dynamite, very well.
All right,
One thing I would ask is if in the report to council, you could describe the comment that we have from the public, from the residents, just that there is a use case of people turning left from Hampton that use the space that is the crosswalk, and that design aspect would need to be.
they use
Consider
the
worked
turn
on.
lane, you mean?
Well, yeah, they use the turn lane, which happens to be right where the crosswalk is and where the planned median or planned, median, refuge median will be.
Yeah.
And that is an unresolved design
Mhm.
consideration that will be.
Well, Or,
consider, because what I really don't want to see happen, and I know we can't read the future, we don't know that we'll get the grant, et cetera, but I just don't want to see the grant come in and us say, oh, this is the only solution, it's going in, that's it.
Right.
Because we've seen that happen in a couple different areas, and it just doesn't do justice to our
Right.
residents, that
Right.
they're being heard,
Mhm.
and they're part of the process, which they should be.
okay, so.
The
With someone,
staff report needs to make it very clear that design will take place after awarding of the grant funds.
Yeah.
And part of the design process is to engage with the neighbors in developing the design. I mean, we just need to be crystal clear about that.
okay,
Yeah, and I
But
will
then
say, I
these
really
are-
appreciate that you did engage Parisi and produce this schematic, because
Yeah,
now we
no,
have something
really,
we can
no,
actually
that's-
react
yeah.
to. The neighbors have something they can give feedback on, so this is a
Good
really
point.
great starting point, and I think it's exactly the way that ideally these kinds of projects and designs should be developed, which is iteratively.
Yeah.
Put up a concept, get feedback, tweak it, and move to hopefully a place where there's consensus
Mhm.
and adoption.
okay. So can someone then make a proposal that includes these concerns? Do you want me to? I mean,
We always
I
look to
think
Greg.
No, I-
Greg just did, yeah.
yeah, I mean, he did, but Stella also wanted to emphasize the need for calling out community concern with the use of the turn lane.
So I gather we support the staff recommendation with the additional concept of, making it clear that design will occur should the grant ever be realized with community input. And Stella, in the staff report, also note that, there's recognized design issues at this point, right?
With the concept sketch.
Yeah.
Mhm. And you can even say specifically with left turns from Hampton and use of the center turn.
Does that have to be part of the motion though?
No,
No, that-
just in the
That has
staff
to be in the
report.
staff
Staff
report.
report,
right.
I would take the word should it ever, or the phrase should it ever. I wouldn't put that in.
Okay.
I said when we. Or
Okay.
something a little more positive than if it will ever, because that does sound terribly depressing.
But I really think that most of this stuff can go into the staff report, and I think these are recommendations to
Mhm.
Patrick. I think in general, we support, the staff recommendation.
Yeah. Okay. So is that's a motion?
I second.
Let's do a roll call on forwarding this on. Stella?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
I,
Good. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Cheryl, for coming down. We absolutely hear you. We hear you on the need for public engagement, and
happening.
we will.
not happening ahead of the grant.
Yeah, well,
That's what the community's always asked for, is for engagement before grants are approved. That's not happening.
And this will go to council on the 8th.
Yes.
so, well,
I didn't hear Cheryl, what,
she would like to have had a chance for the neighborhoods to come in and discuss it before we sent it to the city council.
yeah,
The grant being approved.
And,
Yeah.
right,
of course.
Yeah.
Of course, and we'd better do it fast, soon.
But I appreciate your time and effort.
Yeah.
It's a big job, and I appreciate you sitting on that side of the table. So I'm not trying to be a girl.
no,
I appreciate your effort, and it's a hard job to be on that side of the table, and I recognize that. So thank you for your time and effort, and staff too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
all right, thanks for coming. Okay. Commissioner and staff reports. Are there things that you'd like to share, either from the commissioners, or do you have stuff you want to share that happened in city council meetings or anything else?
I will share that we held an open house for the Connecting Lafayette Downtown Pathways and School Safety Project on December 7 or 8. 7. Thank you. And there was about 70 people in attendance, I'm gonna estimate. We held a general presentation to the room, and then the room broke out into different workstations that were focused on the concept designs of each of the individual project segments. So people were able to wander from the different areas, School Street, Topper Lane, St. Mary's, and then kind of a general board that was meant to get input on kind of the future expansion of the pedestrian and bike networks in downtown Lafayette. So we're kind of going through our consultant staff to summarize the input we got. There is a survey that's out right now that's we're looking for input by the 20th, December 20th. So we'll report back out in January on what we heard from that open house.
The survey is to people who attended the open house,
No,
or
everything's online on the
Oh,
project
okay.
website. Yeah.
will you be putting out a follow-up? Because I know I did see the information prior to the meeting,
Mhm.
but I didn't hear or I didn't notice anything in Roundup or
Yeah, it's been in 2 weeks of roundup.
after the meeting though?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I
Mhm.
have to read the
Yeah,
Roundup.
yeah,
Okay, and then the project website has the information you just said.
it does.
That was there.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to get caught up. I
Yeah.
had to miss it, unfortunately. I had a winter concert at Akalani
Okay.
that I couldn't miss, so.
So we are planning on doing like a broader online survey that would take place after kind of the next iteration of the concept designs later in the winter. So so we'll be doing big blasts for that as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that hearing that you had, I've heard about it from many directions. I couldn't go myself. Did you put in were there any signs put up along Ridley Station Road when so many automobiles, so many drivers, school people particularly, but all the way down to South Alameda County, wherever. They're going very slowly during rush hour traffic, and particularly during the season here. But did you put any signs on those locations and say, for example, at the intersection of St. Mary's and Moraga Road and many of the other major intersections, did you put any signs at all or
Yes.
around the
All the
school?
locations you just mentioned.
What?
Yes, yes, all the locations you just mentioned.
Real, not just,
The A-frames,
huh?
the A-frames.
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
Were they up high? Were they down low? Where were they?
Well, they were on the sidewalk where we can put them, right? I mean, they were facing traffic. Moraga Road, there were 2 on Moraga Road, there was 1 on School Street, there was 1 at the roundabout,
How big were they?
the normal A-frames.
Like what, like that?
The signs are 2 by 3, but they're in the frame is larger. The
Huge,
actual
large?
sign, the sign is 2 by 3, but they're framed by a larger barricade, so they're pretty visible when you're driving.
Okay, thank you.
They're very visible.
And where did you have them? How many places?
I think we had 10 signs out, 1 in front of the library, 2 on Moraga Road, 1 on School Street at the trail entrance, the roundabout.
They were very visible.
Yeah.
I
Was it
saw
well
something,
signed?
something down by
Yeah.
the community center, maybe?
Yes, the community center where they had a huge Christmas event, and so I had Jonathan put it kind of right in front of
Mhm,
the community center there. Yep.
mhm.
Thank you for that.
So I gotta introduce, so are you saying that you received feedback that it wasn't publicized? Is that what
Right.
you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
They apparently aren't, whatever's going on, they're not seeing what we want them to see anyway.
Well.
Were they colorful? What were they like?
We've seen all the signs.
I know,
We've seen
I
them
know,
before.
I know.
So if they didn't see them driving and they didn't read about them in the roundup or in the
There's a
daily.
big
briefing,
article in the Lumber and the Weekly,
Yeah.
both the digital and the paper versions.
So,
Yeah, it got a lot of,
and what was
Suzanne did a
the,
great
what was
job.
the attendance
thank you.
approximately?
About 70, I'm guessing.
So that's pretty
About what?
70.
70 signs?
70 people attended.
Oh, 70 people. Yeah. I heard
All right.
about that.
Well, that's good. I have, like Stella said, I couldn't make it either, and I was disappointed not to make it, but other things prevented me from coming.
Staff got a lot of feedback, the little stigums with the
Yeah.
comments, a lot of feedback.
A lot, yeah.
Well, thanks. I will definitely go back to the project website and I'll have to get caught up on that. So thank you for that. Anything else?
Nothing.
All right.
Are we at Commissioner report?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I mentioned that GPAC
Yeah.
is continuing to be on hiatus, canceled the January meeting. And, we're just gonna wait and see because the planning staff are working on preparing the zoning amendments, for the housing element. And the housing element was sent off, I think, last week.
Yeah.
Last week, on today's the 18th. So yeah, I think it was sent out last week, Wednesday or Thursday to the state. And I think they have 60 days to respond. And that is the status, but I think the zoning updates have to happen by the end of January
Yes.
30, 2024.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that'll be happening, I'm assuming, at the planning commission and city council level.
I wanted to, anything else about GPAC? And thank you for covering that for us. That's great. I wanted to point out that members of the community and also fellow commissioners might not have heard that the council member Geringer has resigned. She has a long history of helping us out on transportation issues, school issues. And so I wanted to do a public shout out to Teresa for all of her hard work. And I think that we're going to miss her input unless she does that as a public citizen.
She hasn't resigned yet. She's announced her resignment. And it's what, the 28th, is it?
I don't understand.
28th of January, I think it is.
The end of January.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. But in fact, we're going to be losing a very strong city council liaison. And so to cover for until the reassignments are done, Susan Candell, I believe, was the alternate. So, but public shout out, thanks to her. And if she has,
They're okay, by
Yeah.
the way. They're not
okay, well,
injured or
no, that's
uncomfortable or sick or anything like
okay. Well,
that.
that's
No problem.
whatever's personal is personal. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So that's all
absolutely-
that's all I wanted to bring up.
Absolutely agree that we've benefited so much from Councilmember Geringer's advice and counsel.
She served on the school board for years and years and years.
All right, so it's getting late. Anything else? Okay, it's 9:20 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening, and see you next time. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
And you've got a, yeah.